Today, I am taking on Commands and Colors Ancients, the campaign that is provided in the digital edition, here today on Legendary Tactics. So we are attempting the second mission, second scenario, Chrymissos River in Commands and Colors. This one has a similar 5 victory point requirement, and I'm going to choose the hard AI, and we're going to see how we fare. Now, this mission, I felt like, to be honest, I don't know if I played this especially well, but you'll see how this one turns out. It's kind of an interesting scenario. Now, my immediate fear is the large force on my right. Now they are across the river, which might be a good thing. I do have some reasonably decent cards that can give me a bit of variety. And I like how I've got those heavy troops across the center. And I've even got some sling infantry and so forth that I can use. So this was an interesting scenario to try. The sling infantry were kind of some new additions. I also have some cavalry on the left, but I did not necessarily find them to be too effective, but it may just be my terrible rolling. And so what we're going to do here is just pick 2 units on each side, and we're going to run those units up. And my basic goal was to try and take the units on my side of the river, and hopefully avoid the units that are coming across the river. Not that they're especially terrifying, but I thought that again, just divide and conquer might be the best strategy here. So we're going to see how I fare. The medium cavalry did an attack, and unfortunately, the opponent had played a reaction card, first strike, and actually got a couple hits, and that really weakened my unit. I'm almost down a victory point. I haven't even really done very much yet, but that first strike was pretty powerful. Especially against with the heavy infantry being able to strike back. I try my sling infantry. They don't do much of anything, and most of my guys are not. I'm able to attack with my auxilia, but not get any results. So really, not much we can do here next. I do actually force a bit of a retreat from the heavy infantry, but that's about it. Other than that, there's not much to say. So I order 3 units to the right. Sorry, I get that card in my hand, and that one could be useful. It depends on what the next move is. Now we get a move, fire, move. So that means all the light units are going to move and do an attack and then move again. It's a bit annoying, but it does move those light units into range, at least 1 or 2 of them, to the point where I can begin to move against them in a meaningful way. Now, I lose some sling infantry, unfortunately, and the second attack, I lose some even more units. So this is, kind of ridiculous. I'm already down a fair number of troops, and in fact, if you notice, my cavalry faded away to nothingness, and so I'm already down 1, and I didn't even really do anything. However, as you can see, the 2 light infantry have really charged forward and have exposed themselves to potentially being surrounded by my heavy troops. And I have the heavy troop card, which I'm going to play, and that's going to be an opportunity to really move in and encircle these units a little bit and force them, basically force them into a bit of a trap. I was hoping actually that they would not retreat because obviously my heavy infantry are very slow. But I figured, well, you know what? We've got enough of an attack here. We can probably do some damage, and we get 2 units killed, and then they force the retreat. But my other heavy infantry gets a shot, and they get 2 more hits, and that is it. The light infantry are down, and that's my first point. And I have the option of moving into that space, so I'm going to take that, move up. No downside here, just gives me further away from the enemy across the river as well. Now I get 1 hit and a retreat symbol here. And so I get another chance on this with this guy, and 3 hits. That should be enough. And we're at 2 points. You can see this was a really there's a lot of engagement early where I think we've only played 2. Well, I've played this is my second card, and my opponent's only played 1, and we're already at 2-1. Now I get the 3 units center, which is perfect. That's a great card. Gives me the flexibility to move my heavy infantry up right away. So I'm just kind of keeping an eye on what's going on. But it seems that my opponent's now charging in with the units there on my left. And to be honest, I'm okay with that. Now we'll see how this battle goes. They do get a hit and a retreat as well. So I'm going to take that opportunity to escape and save my units there from the chariots. The chariots advance, but I'm okay with that. That unit gets within a somewhat close enough to do some ranged combat, but that obviously puts them within the range of one of my heavy infantry, the leader there. So that's a target. And again, no movement yet on my right, which is fine. But I'm thinking about how I can get the heavy troops into position here. The move fire move is also okay. It'll give me an opportunity to get some light troops into position, but really I'm just I wanted the flexibility of just doing a small move here to see if I could block the kind of put up a line, see if I can maybe do some damage on some of these sling troops and auxilia and so forth. I miss on that attack. Going to try here as well. And I get a retreat, the flag, which is, well, I guess it's better than nothing. So force that unit back. And you know what, I'm okay with that because, again, my goal was just to hold those units back. But in many ways, I may have picked the harder force to go against. But again, my strategy, just like in the last scenario, is to go and try and just divide the forces and just deal with the units that I want to deal with. But maybe those heavy infantry aren't the best targets. And the chariots potentially as well could be an issue. However, we now have the opportunity to move the heavy infantry up, and I'm just kind of looking around at moving 3 units in the center is probably my best bet, and getting my heavy infantry moved up and to form a closer line. I'd love to move more than 3, but that's all I got. So I'm going to make the most of it and charge in, see if I can get some damage on that, on those guys there. And I'm going to throw up a bit of a defense against the chariots. Again, just trying to maintain a bit of a line. we're going to fire a big attack here and see how we do. We miss completely, but that might be okay. We're going to, although the unit does retreat. And I find I've played a few games of this scenario, and it's really funny because I find that the heavy infantry, because they're so slow, they almost have to sometimes corner the enemy against the edge of the board just to get them. And it's a very slow chase. Once again, my opponent orders units on the right, on my left. The chariots are looking to attack, and some heavy infantry moving up. So there's a bit of a concern there. And we're going to see how this chariot attack goes. They get 2 hits, which is a lot. That really weakens that force. Now I do get a retaliation, and fortunately I roll really well, like 4 hits and a retreat, but that's enough to get rid of the chariots, and I'm up 3-1. Even though I don't feel like I'm doing especially well, I've got a bunch of reduced units and so forth, but I seem to be holding my own. And now it's just a decision as to how to get the last 2. It might be a good idea to do a move fire move with the light troops, and so I was thinking, well, let's give it a go. We can maybe get some pot shots, and with some lucky rolls, maybe we can do some damage on some of these light troops over here on my right. And maybe if we can get some casualties, I mean, they'll probably retreat, but it's a little bit better to do that than face off against the heavy troops. I advance those light troops up there just to, again, keep everyone together, but might be a bit risky. Don't want to lose that unit. It is reduced, but we'll have to see. So of course I do my ranged fire. Nothing too interesting happens, unfortunately. Not a fan of these guys, but they get to move again. So I'm going to put myself in a position against those other the other light troops there, and I'm going to bring my sling and light infantry in and away from my enemy there for what it's worth. We'll see if that can actually make a difference. That move, in retrospect, might have been a bad idea, as it exposes that light infantry to the heavy troops and probably imminent destruction. And in fact, advancing the light infantry against the other light infantry, or the auxilia against the light infantry, may also have been a problem. Now I do get some movement in the center again, so that is something that does give me some options. So let's see here. Now my opponent orders 4 units in the center, which is interesting because there's only 3 units there, and we get some advances, and we just hope that we can hold them off. Of course, they decide to crush my light infantry. Only 1 hit and a retreat, so that's that's all right. Let's get these guys. We may have to get those guys out of there at a future time. And I lose another unit there, and a retreat flag there. So anyway, nothing, just a bit of a standalone kind of battle there. And I'm free to attack these light troops once I've suffered this attack. Now, I get 2 flags. I have to retreat, so I'm backing away. Luckily, I had a spot to retreat to, and my opponent advances. Now, this is where I thought, aha, now I have a bit of an opportunity. I will need to take on those heavy troops and that leader, but perhaps with a lucky roll, I can actually get that light troop. And Clash of Shields did seem that it would potentially be of use, especially with even with the light troops, to get some extra dice in combat, I thought, okay, well, let's hit with the heavy troops first and see what we can do. Although it was a bit of a thought here, but I thought, okay, the light troops are potentially vulnerable, so let's do an attack first with the heavy troops on the other enemy heavy troops. And we'll see what we can get. Now we get a couple of extra dice, and we get 3 hits and a white flag. So that is pretty good. That really does weaken that unit. Now it retaliates but misses and then runs away. And so we're going to... I meant to advance there. I clicked and I missed, but I would have advanced if I could have. And that unfortunately means the light troop cannot use the the special bonus on that card, but that's okay. It is what it is. And we're going to look at the Carthaginian side now. Ordering 3 units right. There's only 1 unit there, and this was kind of what I was worried about, in that that unit's going to attack my light my auxilia infantry. I do take a hit, a couple of white flags, but all things considered, I can run away and essentially leave play, and so I'm out of there. And my opponent kind of inexplicably advances. So now here's my shot. I've got the light infantry there and the weakened heavy infantry just, to north of me, straight ahead. And I've got the other infantry potentially in a vulnerable position on where it can be potentially hit by multiple units. Now, unfortunately, I only got that card to activate 2 units in the center. So I'm going to move this leader across. And I thought, well, let's see if I can attack that leader. Maybe I can, with a bit of luck, I can snag a couple hits and maybe win the game on that. Now, I rolled really well here. That is exceptional. 3 hits and a white flag. That is awesome. And the unit retreats. Of course, I wanted to advance into the gap, and I clicked too fast. So that's okay. So now I'm thinking, okay, I've got a couple targets, but I'm going to go after the leader and see if I can just end the game here. I get 2 hits. And that should be enough, because the leader gets the casualty check, and that's it. So I did get some lucky rolls. The force on the right did not even have a chance to advance. Here's my stats. So anyway, this scenario was it was okay, but I have played it. I have lost it in other games that I've played. So wanted to demonstrate a win. Hope you're enjoying the campaign, though, and this series, and thank you so much for watching. This is Legendary Tactics.